Fleet Orbit. Presented by the Data Break Network.
It's beginning to look a lot like the holidays around here, and if you're wondering how Thriller made its way into the set list this week, no, it is not October. It has more to do with this week's episode of the show and where it's coming to you from.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have intel that the Potique pharmaceutical company is actually working with the virus. We are above the biocontainment facility in NANI system. I have information that is actually a VSL Tech 4 bio research facility. So we are on zombie watch, ladies and gentlemen. We are watching to see if the station starts being overrun by zombies. Come on and dance up with us here and watch zombies.
There you go. And this is New Eden FM, your weekly update on all things, all the Eve things. What can I say? We're not just talking about the physical game, we're talking about the community. Of course, DJ Von Bell, behind the ones and twos, Maestro in the studio, and of course, what episode is complete without not only the First Lady in Intel, but also the Master of Disaster, Latara Tassador.
Yo, I can't be like, I'm not living up to my title there. I've only lost about 7 ships this weekend so far.
That's it?
Yeah,
You
it's
are
been a quiet
slacking.
weekend.
That is a really slow week for you, isn't it?
Not weekend.
Oh, only the weekend. Okay, okay. For a moment, I was
Oh yeah,
about to
yeah.
get a
It's,
little bit.
it's got to be like 30 during, like if you include the week. But I mean, who's counting? My IP wallet.
Oh
Yeah,
dear Lord.
clearly. I mean, you should have been in that fleet that we had yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, along with Fat Nick. It was a lot of fun, even though we lost a whole lot more is than we actually killed. But it was good fun. It was great fun.
Oh, I've been spending a lot of time wandering around New Eden with the legend that is Tama.
Oh my goodness. And Tama is legendary. I also know that you guys are cooking up some more fun for us in the
Yeah.
future. Yeah.
Don't spill the beans on that
Heck
one though.
no.
We want
Absolutely
it to be a
not.
surprise.
Absolutely not, man. It's gonna be so much fun, but I'm already getting the Crime Syndicate primed and ready for that one, and we're getting you ready for today's episode. Balance, balance, balance. And when you think you're done with that, you counterbalance, and then when you think you're done counterbalancing, someone asks you if they can switch implants while on board their ships. What do I mean? You can find those answers on New Eden News in just a few. Right now in the mix.
New Eden News.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to New Eden News. And, it's kind of funny. We literally just did a balance update, right? Well, yeah, we did a balance update, and people are still asking for some things that are going to be truly, I want to say game breaking, like the type of things that we do that we know for a fact before we do them, we know how broken that this is gonna become. Why? Because usually those of us that are part of PvP organizations, well, we're the ones that are responsible for breaking these things. For example, implant crystals, we're the
Located
ones
here.
responsible for them being as OP as they are because we found ways to make them OP. And it's usually we don't start off with the Q&A of the week. But this week, I think it's worth actually looking at the Q&A because that's where this is coming from, right? Question number 1 was, I was hoping y'all could do one of two things. Can we get the ability to swap implants on the fly outside of stations? Or can y'all implement a warning before undocking that the implant doesn't match the ship type, similar to how we get a warning about no fuel before undocking? Hold on, I thought that we actually did get that warning. Can someone correct me?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. It's
There
just
is a
not.
warning, but
It's small and doesn't come up with like a the low fuel warning did.
Like it stops you from undocking.
Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't like stop you from undocking. It flashes up when you undock. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, we still get one though. It's like, I mean, I can understand if you want to make it a little bit more, I guess, more prevalent, like so people can see it a little bit easier. Then that makes sense. But it is in the game to, for all of you guys that are playing the game, and you have implants and you fly a myriad of different ships. It is in the game. But anyway. He says a little pop-up notification or the little pop-up notification that shows up randomly while doc doesn't help much. Thank you. So the answer to this question is there's currently no plan to allow switching implants outside the station, thank goodness. And the reason is that more types of implants, such as defensive implants and disruption implants, will be released in the future. And switching outside the station will bring in a fair number of uncontrollable factors.
by that
yeah,
they
like
mean
people cheesing stuff. Yeah, cheesing stuff. Like
I would so do it. I would so
oh
do
yeah,
it.
everyone would if you could.
I'd break
If
the
you
heck
could,
out
you
of
would.
it. I'd break the heck out of that. I would, I'm not, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I would take full advantage of that and I would break the heck out of that.
of course, that's what you do. You
Yeah.
you test the bounds of the universe you're operating in.
Yeah, like, and especially considering right now we have DPS implants, right? So what's to stop me from saying, okay, well, I'm using my, I'm gonna go ahead and use my impulse crystal, which is a favorite in my vampire ship builds, right? So okay, well, I'm starting to take a lot of damage, so let me switch over to this defensive implant, or let me switch over to this implant that makes my Nosferatus work, be stronger than what they currently are, because that's totally not broken, right?
Yeah, it just becomes massively abusable, like even on a solo pilot sort of level. Like you go solo roam. Oh, I can tank this guy just fine, so I'm gonna switch to my
Located here.
DPS implant and kill him faster than he can get through me. Wait, these guys are hitting me a bit hard. Okay, I'll switch from my DPS implant to my tank implant. It's just not gonna.
Yeah,
It's not a good
gonna
idea.
fly. It's not gonna fly. It's just oof. And
Like you could say, even though I don't want it in the game, if it comes into the game, I'm abusing it.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about any of that. I do. I mean, when you think about it, even in EVE Online, you can't switch implants on the fly because your implants are attached to a specific clone body. So when you switch to a different clone body, you are going to have that set of implants. And at the end of the day, I mean, it really would just be a nightmare. At least in that game, when you get shot, if you get potted, you will lose your implants. So I think that should be enough of a bonus for us flying around in EVE Echoes. When you get shot, you don't lose the implants. And that's a big enough contributing factor as far as I'm concerned to justify, well, the implants don't need to be switchable because they're not switchable in EVE Online. If you want to switch, you have to jump a clone. And if you're on cooldown, well, you're just tough cookies. Either you buy new implants to put into the clone that you're currently in, or you're just waiting for like 24 hours. I mean, that's the way that it works over there. But
Yeah, to quote a classic, it's like that, and that's the way it is.
And the second question is, with the addition of Stargates, can we please get a few more personal and corporation bookmarks? And the answer to that is that that's a very good suggestion. We will schedule this optimization in the near future. That's a pretty positive answer, and more bookmarks is a nice thing, especially for those of us that like to use ping pong dictor bubbles, because let's face it, those of us that are using dictors the right way, we have no less than 3 bookmarks per system that we typically use. That's me, at least, have. But anyways, that one's not too bad. The third question is, salvagers are currently unpopular unless you have multi accounts. Please consider having anomaly loots to exist for at least 3 hours without the presence of a player nearby. Corporations can then share save loot locations to a fellow dedicated salvager to pick up the loots when they come online within that duration. It is a great initiative to make salvaging a career amongst players. And before I even answer that, I'm going to say salvaging is not made in this game to be a viable career among players. You can do that in EVE Online, you can't do that in this game. But, okay.
I see salvaging in Echoes as like, oh, I'm cap stable, or I can hit everything I need to shoot at with this ship. Oh, I've got a spare mid slot. Oh, free minerals.
I mean, salvaging is something that it can be done in EVE Online, but it's because after you kill a ship, you loot the wreck, and the wreck continues to float out in space. So it's basically like a big floating cargo container, and people can pass by with salvagers and can pick up that stuff, and you can get pretty good stuff out of the salvage materials. But in this game, the loots, the wrecks simply blow up when you loot them, and so that's pretty much why salvaging can't be a career in EVE Echoes. But the answer that the devs gave is, previously we have had a greatly reduced loot duration because there was a large number of unpicked loots in the system, which caused excessive pressure on the server and lag in the local and adjacent systems. Thank you for your suggestion. We will optimize this in the future. The initial idea is to add a judgment of security level so that we can extend the loot duration in nullsec, which I guess is fine because nullsec is virtually empty. But it is
virtually empty, but there's a lot of big empty space right now.
I mean, there's a lot of empty space. You can fly for light years and not find civilization anywhere. I mean, just look at the trip that we took between where birth space is located in like Southern Fae and Esso up to the organization formerly known as Rebel Alliance. And you could fly up there to Rebel Alliance space. It was roughly 20 jumps from like the border system, and you would literally jump for at least 10 of those jumps and not find a soul in any system, which is pretty crazy,
Well, they've all been assimilated and moved.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Rebel Alliance, that's why, yeah, well, so, I mean, of course, there's not going to be anybody in the space.
But I mean, there wasn't anybody in their space before they were assimilated, is all I'm saying.
There was, because I know,
here.
because they have been assimilated over in my space.
Yeah.
There's definitely people.
I mean, there are definitely people. I'm talking about the space between like Burr space and Rebel Alliance space, though. You can fly through there, and it's a ghost town, like literally.
Isn't that AOA space? Maybe they're asleep.
I don't know what they are, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure that whole thing out. And there's also a question, while Doc, can we please have a single button to transfer items from ship to your item hangar? And the answer to that is, thanks for your suggestion. We will add similar functions to the game. We believe this optimization can provide convenience for many capsuleers. Am I the only person that feels like this week's Q&A it's like they just, the questions could have been so much better,
Yeah.
of their promotions, and I loved having them here on the show. So to talk about groups that are pretty much gone, but it is what it is, right? And yeah, there's the old Content Coalition logo from the old Pantheon Content Coalition Wars. Really, really cool. And yeah, I agree with you, Sancha. Pravi is the end game. Everyone knows it, except for Pravi, I think.
Ravi end boss.
Pravi
Changed my
is
mind.
the end boss. They are the end boss. They are the end boss. A shout out to the Grand Muba, that is Stony Sluts. I see dropped in, and anything is better without Beck. I mean, kind of, sort of. I mean, Beck is a funny guy, so I can't really say anything about him. But yeah, he's all right. And SHH, SHH is SHH. I can't really say anything. By the way, has anybody figured out who they're at war with? Because like a few weeks ago, they were saying they were at war, and I don't know who they're at war with. Like,
I mean, they killed a Citadel like
Oh.
yesterday or the day before, so
dude, who's Citadel? Wow.
I don't really know.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've got Taylor Rick in the lounge.
Yeah.
Want to fill us in on who's silent and fighting, if you know?
Goodness. Yeah, and while you're at it, drop in for the content creators corner and let us know how everything is going with Rambo's show. I know that I haven't been able to be there the past couple of weeks, but needless to say, I still love you guys, and I think it's an awesome show. I can't say enough good things about it, but yeah. And if you're staging a coup, I mean, you can start with Mel. I think the guy kind of wants everyone to coop him anyway, so to that end, we're all set, and it's all well and good, right?
This game, I swear.
In some ways, he has an excuse to be a little bit reluctant, so don't hate on him too much, right? Mel is just being Mel, I guess. And I believe that is everything for this week's episode of the New Eden News. And of course, we'll be checking out your comments in the Sound of Us as we continue to go through this week's episode.
Your music, your voice, and your weekly update on all things Eve. This is your Eve Echo State of the War Report.
Welcome everyone to the Eve Echo State of the War Report. And we don't actually do this address a whole lot these days because we don't really have a whole lot of war. We haven't had much action going on since the Bruno versus Void war, which roughly a few months ago, and I
mean,
don't
you
think
say
that's
that,
good.
Kenzie, but Void did bounce back pretty quickly off the back of that war.
They did.
Helped their friends in ESCA to take on Yes, and as far as I can tell from my intel and talking to some friends over there, they're wrapping that up now, and they successfully achieved their goals. So
That's good. And it was really pleasant because the goal was never it was never for us to go in and to absolutely obliterate Void, right? We didn't want to do that. We just wanted to go in and we wanted to put some pressure on them and give them a reason to have the fleet up and fight, because unfortunately in this game, because of how things work in this game, people feel like if they don't have something to lose, they don't need to fight. And that's the wrong mentality to have in the Eve universe, right? If you feel like you have something to lose, and you perpetually know that you have something to lose, it's a lot easier to take those fights. I mean, Burr and No understand that they have their reputation to lose. I mean, you may think, well, it's not it's not that bad. No, it really is. When you're one of the most respected mercenary corporations or organizations in the game, sorry about that, mate. I know that you guys are rolling the Merc Corp banner, and a big shout out to you. But when you're rocking either a mercenary corporation or you're working a mercenary alliance, you do have your reputation. And I mean, we had a reminder of that earlier this week from Meliodas, because Meliodas was like, hey guys, do more stuff. You know what I mean? Because It's like we're not crabs, we're PvPers. Get out there and PvP. And of course, famous last words by Tahini: "Stop dying, noobs."
Oh yeah. Though that's a quote from Run, I think actually. I think in the war, the Bro Coalition, he made a post, and it was just "Yo guys, of Sun Tzu, stop dying, noobs."
Oh, that was my favorite one. I took a screenshot of that. And every time someone does something, contradictory to our efforts, I just post it and go, best quote of the whole war. But I do believe that Tahini said that he said it during the Gen Fed Wars too. And because of
yeah.
course I'm a spy, and I found out, he also made mention by saying, guys, stop yeeting your Tech 10 battleships like they are, like they're toys. They're not toys. They are, they're war machines. They're like they're mini capital ships. So stop doing that. And that was right after the loss that they didn't sustain a loss that day because they had buku capital ships. For those of you guys that were involved in the first battle between Genesis Federation and No SHH, Blap, Red Machine, and everyone else that I can't remember who was on that card at that time, they came in with some fire. And because we could not actually take a direct fight with them, we got in the scepters and we killed a lot of ISK. We killed a whole lot of ISK that day, and Tahini wasn't too happy about it. So believe me when I tell you, it is just like, it's paramount to remember that you have something to lose. Well, war teaches you a very interesting, it teaches you a very interesting lesson, right? So I'm glad that Void is kind of bouncing back in that retrospect. Of course, Rebel Alliance, up until, I want to say, maybe 2 weeks ago, they were kind of sort of in a war that they basically threw themselves into, because they decided that they wanted to try to, my goodness, for those of you guys that, I just realized I'm not going to say that, because for anyone not associated with Black culture, it's going to sound really bad. But, they decided that they wanted to do to do some shenanigans by trying to put together a contract with No, and then making it look like Burr was trying to steal the contract from No, and both sides found out about it. And even though No didn't come for them, Burr certainly did. And so they have been assimilated into the organization that I believe is called the Fallen Angels Army. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Is correct.
Yeah, they got assimilated.
No, you are absolutely correct. Yes, and we are assimilating. I mean, recruiting.
So that was an interesting war story in itself, but that's not like the whole story now, is it? The whole story is that the reason why things are so quiet right now is because everyone is in the middle of this arms race. Now, SHH a few weeks ago woke up their members and basically said, hey guys, we're taking a war stance. And at the time, the rest of the universe was thinking like, well, who are you at war with, right? Because no one really knew. There was no war declaration either on Reddit or otherwise. We were sitting there like, well, who's SHH at war with? But I can understand wanting to light a fire underneath your people's rear ends, because we've gone into void space a few times. We've had some really fun yeets into void space, including that time that we decided to go in with a bunch of ABCs, and we were going somewhere else, and we got pulled over by Bot 5. It made for a really, really, really fun fight.
I think you just said Void and you meant Silent.
Silent, sorry. Yes, I did. I did. Void is really on my mind right now because they did just finish that war and I'm proud of them. But it was Silent, yeah. Silent, we were on our way somewhere else in Silent space, and Bot 5 pulled us over to the side of the road and they gave us a fight. And they sent us home in pods. So, big shout out to Bot 5.
Oh yeah, we went looking to gank a fleet of capitals and had a fleet of capitals dropped on us.
It was kind of cool, actually. But the thing, it was more fun because
I think everybody who roams Silent Space knows you can always count on Bot 5 to be a
yeah. Well,
I mean, to be fair, like there's a bunch of groups within Silent who always respond really well. I think it's why a lot of people roam them because you get in a fight.
pretty much
I
Care Bear
mean,
with guns,
Mm-hmm.
for example,
you've got
they
Air
respond
Bear
pretty
with
well.
guns, EX. Um, you've got Bot 5, obviously, like Saku if it's in their time zone. Those like all those guys are great to
Saku.
go pay a visit.
Yeah, and we pay them visits, and we've gotten pretty good content, and I'm always impressed by their response. They will lock down your pocket, that or the pocket that you're roaming them in, so fast, and that's what happened with my Cinnaball fleet that I brought out there one day. Like I knew I had to get out because they were already preparing contingencies to lock down the system, while we were there. So I gotta give them, I'm gonna give them their props. They will come for a fight, and if you're roaming in their space and you stay there long enough, you're gonna get a fight whether you want one or not. If you were there to just gain some quick isk, you better get that isk and you better get out because if you don't, if you linger there for too long, they will lock down the pocket, and Silent has made me log out a couple times, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna knock them. They have definitely made me second guess coming to their space because when I go to their space, I know what I'm in for. So they're getting roamed a lot because I mean they're a big entity, but they're a big entity that will fight you. So a guy I haven't heard from a lot lately, maybe because it is not like a state of war, but Master Yoda. What has happened to that guy? I haven't heard of him, and I haven't seen anything of him in a while now. Maybe one of the SHH guys can fill in the blanks for me on that one. But yeah, I mean, as annoying as his scepter fleets were, he really is something special on the battlefield, and I have respect for him.
Yeah, that's the thing about Silent. They are a large organization. They have a lot of staff they can depend on to do some of these high-end jobs. They've got a lot of people who are specialized. Like Dota does the scepter fleets and good at it. So it's one of those things that you get large enough, you can really do that specialization. That,
Yeah.
a smaller group, they're lucky if they have an FC to run their fleet, let alone somebody who can specialize in different ship classes.
I mean, there are plenty of them that do though. Like Master Yoda, who is really good with the scepters, and of course Matarella, who's really good with the heavy infantry fleet or the heavier navy. It's done a great job, and his nightmare was actually really terror. It was a terror on the battlefield. We've fought that thing a number of times. It's surprisingly fast. The number of times that my fleet got caught by that nightmare. So. I mean, it's some good stuff. And I see that Rambo is in the studio. I want to give a shout out to him. Also, can we get Taylor Rick a content creator's tag? Because Taylor Rick is a content creator. I'm just noticing that he doesn't have that tag. But
I
yeah,
will fix
it's
that right now.
yep. So to you guys that have not done it or have not tuned in to the Echoes of New Eden, which is a Thursday night broadcast. It is a bit late in U.S. prime time, but if you can make it, there are some really cool things. So last week we did the battle royal, and it was pretty much a can you battle royal. Now we decided because people either don't really have those ships anymore because I mean, who really flies around with the prototype ships that much these days? That the next battle royal, which we are going to be setting up around Christmas, is going to be a little bit more all inclusive. So I don't know. Maybe we're going to we'll take some suggestions from you guys as to whether we are going to go ahead and just say, okay, you can bring anything cruiser and below, provided that it's like like a Tech 7 cruiser or below anything in the tech area is good if you want to bring that and let people just like kind of choose their favorite ships. If someone decides they want to show up in a frigate, then I don't, and they think they can do really well, then let them do so. Just be mindful that the one thing that I want to make sure that we don't have for the Christmas battle royal, cloaking devices, because I don't want people just like hiding until the last ship and then just coming out and just blapping everyone else. So, if you're gonna go out there and you're gonna
Yeah.
fight, then we definitely want to make sure that it's a lot more fun for everyone across the board.
Well, we can. Well, We can also, make sure that we can put it in the rules. If you are found with a cloaking device on your ship, you are disqualified. No goodies.
Yeah, yeah. I don't care if people come in covert ops cruisers. I just care if people are hiding until the very last minute, and then they're gonna try to sneak that fight or sneak that battle and get a quick win. Well, anyway, Rambo is doing those things pretty often, and not only that, but there's also the Who Wants to Be a Billionaire Eve version, which was my favorite bit of content that they did. I'll never forget that one guy that came in and literally the first question was, "What's the name of the show you're currently on?" It's so
Oh
bad.
my gosh.
It was so bad.
Oh yeah,
That was so
he was
bad.
deer in the headlights and everything. He's like, "Where am I? Oh my
I mean, it's not like it was
god, I
not
can't
written.
remember where I
It's not like
am."
it's written on the server or
Oh,
anything. It's okay. But
I
that,
know. I mean, there were plenty of cheat sheets around for the man. I feel sorry for that poor man.
yeah, I mean, Rambo literally asks, "Do you want to use a lifeline?" It's like, no, that's my final answer. My gosh,
Oh no.
that was it was. But the thing, what I'm saying is that that was my favorite memory of like my favorite show that I went to of Rambo's podcast, and I'm encouraging you guys to drop in when you can. Last one I went to, I think that Immortals Rage, who is now an independent person. He is in the Dead Corporation, of course, and Dead Left No a few weeks ago. So he was on the show, and it was really pretty awesome. And then we had him on this show a little bit later on. It was you. We really should release some of the tapes from some of the chat that we had outside of like not being on air because it was quite humorous, and we were laughing about quite a few different things, but yeah, I mean, I think that Zlatara, you were saying this before we came on for the state of the war, that a lot of the reason why New Eden is so quiet right now is because everyone is locked in this crazy arms race, and
Well,
surrounding
the
that is
thing is I know like some people are joking around me saying that, and when we say quiet, we mean in terms of larger scale conflict. Like roams happen every day, every hour, every minute in this game. But what we mean by quiet is just no massive wars right now.
pretty much. I mean, come on. Like if there is a war, it's front page news to anyone who is a nullsec entity. Like the people in I've noticed that like if wars are going on in nullsec and you live exclusively in high sec or exclusively high sec with a little bit of low sec, you have no idea what's going on. Like it's a completely different world and a completely different experience. When you live in nullsec, you know every major war that's going on because it all affects you in one way or another. And in EVE Online, it's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect like exactly what zones maybe you might roam or might not roam because you don't want your entity to be pulled into whatever is going on between a different entity, and because if you shoot a structure, then you must be out for structure war, or you're going to be called bullies on Reddit or something like that. I think that we're really diminishing the quality of the game because some of the best experiences that I've had, some of the most fun memories I've had, have come from war. Like that time that Immortals Rage yeeted me into the Pact Fleet. That I was mad about it at first, granted, but later on I thought that it was pretty funny, which is the same to say about most things. There are roams that are always going on. We roam constantly. We roamed yesterday, and we had fun with AAA, but there is no major conflict going on. There's no major war going on right now.
Yeah, well, that's why we play. We were looking for the good fight,
It's the blood
and
god
sometimes
cares
you win it.
not. Yeah, say the blood god cares not from whence the blood flows.
Not really, no, no. It's really just that, and we had fun. And if we had been in a proper fleet and they had taken that fight, we would have crushed them because, like me and Nick, we were sitting there for at least a good hour, just going, "Damn, that Macario that we almost killed. It was 60% hull. We could have held out just a little bit longer. He'd be dead." But I think that I think that there is something to be said about that whole about that, right? We create the environment just like in Eve Online. They create that environment, and currently, while I am thinking about it, since we are currently talking about war related things, if I can find it here, yeah, there we go. I do want to give a special shout out to Michael JD's corporation. I believe it's Hull Warning. On yesterday, Michael announced that the ship they've been doing really well. According to the Zkill boards of EVE Online, they have destroyed 504 ships, and they've lost 647. So, I mean, that's in the corporation's history, obviously. And so you're looking at they are closing a colossal gap with that one. Um, so it's great. It's really great that they are doing really well for themselves. And since we do cover some of Eve Online's news, I cannot finish covering it without saying, hey, congratulations to our guys who came from Eve Echoes or returning to Eve Online, and they're actually kicking a little bit of ass, because that's really cool. They came in, they wanted to do faction war games, and there you go. They're all about it. Also, I believe because we don't have enough content for the Content Creators Corner on this week. Number one, shout out to Mario for the Echoes Moby, which is the brand new killbot, which is engineered by him. He, of course, has his server where he's constantly squashing bugs and taking suggestions on the things that that can be done to make the app or the bot, I guess, a little bit more inclusive for all of you. In addition to that, as I said, Rambo has his podcast on Thursdays alongside Taylor Rick, who also produces video content, if I'm not mistaken. So do check out their YouTube channels. And of course, my good friend and buddy Ashiv, who I cannot say enough good things about. And I believe that on yesterday, Ashiv interviewed our own Latara. Isn't that right?
Yeah. I sat down with Sheev, Vetamune, and Yubi from Vetamune and Yubi from Void, and just talked a bit about gaming, like our gaming histories, and I mean, my gaming history is short. It's pretty much Eve Echoes. But we had a blast, and hopefully that video will be coming out soon. But yeah,
Yeah.
Sheev had us in Sheev had us in stitches. It should be a really good video, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was interviewed by Sheaf some time ago when I was on Genesis Federation, and I mean, he really is an amazing. He's an amazing content creator. He's much like us. He's not an official content creator, but he is still doing some really great things. And I believe that he hit a milestone a couple of weeks ago. So his subscription count is going up by the day, and he does more than just Eve, of course. I mean, he basically plays a little bit of everything, and he covers a lot of everything. Like, for example, when Diablo Immortals came out, he covered that, and lots more stuff. So big shout out to Sheev. Of course, love, hugs, and kisses to the Facehugger Nation, because I am and will always be a fan of Sheev and the content that he's putting out. But I believe that as far as war is concerned, people are going to keep on building really cool ships. And once someone decides that they have like enough faxes, or they have set up enough jump gates in their space, they're probably going to declare war. I'm just like waiting for it.
Yeah, I think at the minute a lot of the big alliances are just setting themselves up now.
I mean, you'll have to elaborate just a little bit on that one.
The rebalancings put doctrine into question. People are probably looking through their doctrine, going, "Is what we've got still relevant?" Then you've also obviously got the concern of faxes and farming to get enough of them. This, that, and next thing, and then obviously the inevitable need for cap fleets, which some alliances still haven't really got put together. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be an interesting 2023.
I completely agree. It is going to be kind of interesting, and with these new changes, modifications to the way that armor works, people are actually looking into it. We had an armor fleet in burst space yesterday. I believe it was a CRB fleet that was knocking on doors and shooting shields to try to get a fight, and it was pretty boss, to be completely fair. It was pretty boss. I had to leave. I had to go to work last night, but I know it was going on, and I was kind of sad that I couldn't take part. I had been doing PvP things all day, and by the end of it, I'm like, well, dang, I gotta go to work in like an hour. I gotta eat something before I go to work in like an hour, but dang, it looks like they're having fun and they're about to get some content. They're about to have a fleet fight. Yeah, there's nothing quite like putting people in a position where you know that they have the fleet up and you know that they have to fight and you know that they're going to be there on grid when you show up with your fleet. So, you never have to worry about blue balling like 100 pilots. And that part, that I think that that's the best part of war, as far as I'm concerned, at least in my experience as a fleet commander. Is about it for the state of the war for this week. And I believe that when we get back after a little bit of music from our DJ, we have Eve Talk for you. Turn it up. Check.
Near you. This is Eve Talk on New Eden FM.
All right, guys. Thank you for that one, and welcome to New Eden FM's Eve Talk, and this is basically a community-driven segment of the show. And of course, today, because of myself, I'm a little ignorant of the things that happen in Fountain. I'll admit, and because there's always something happening in Fountain. There was a time when Red Sea was protecting citadels of an entity from themselves in Fountain, and this was quite interesting. There have been a multitude of wars that have started and then ended within like a couple of days in Fountain, and so it's a little hard to tell which things are happening in Fountain that are that these are like kind of sort of long-standing things. Know what I mean? Like it's weird
Yeah.
because when
Well, I've I've heard tell that what happens in Fountain stays in Fountain, so that's why it's so hard to know what's
Ooh, it's
happening
like
in
Vegas. I
Fountain.
like
it's
it.
like Vegas, yeah, pretty much.
I
So
like it.
the weird thing about Fountain is kind of like um Fountain isn't particularly ruled by any singular entity in the game. You know how, like, for example, Fathopolis is owned by Burr. Everyone knows that Faye belongs to Burr. Everyone knows that Esso belongs to Burr and it's basically renter space. Everyone knows that Silent owns Declan, and so on and so forth. Everyone knows that
Everybody
No
knows
is in.
Delp is the past.
They know that yeah, they know that the cows have
Delta's.
delve. But when it comes to Silent, or when it comes to Fountain, Fountain is basically inhabited by Retsi, the premier solo corporation in Eve. It is, I believe, we also have Myth, who is out there, and they are in, they're out there in, and of course, UNFQ is out there as well. And representing UNFQ, this is Salient, whom I've
I
had the
guess.
pleasure of meeting a couple times in the past. And it's good to have you on the show, first and foremost.
Thank you. Thank you. Long time coming.
Yeah. So first of all, I apologize for us not really knowing what's happening in the state of the war. I remember Roz posted a thing, like a Reddit post that he made about some of the stuff that was happening, with these different entities and war decks, and it was a lot to read. And when I saw it, it was very early in the morning, so I probably didn't like my brain didn't process all of it. But could you explain to us exactly what is happening in Fountain and, why this is looking like it's going to be a prolonged attrition rather than like a 1 week war?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that it goes on for a while. It seems that everyone on both sides is having a bunch of fun right now. Unfuck, like, am I? So, Unfuck is in Fountain because we have homies that are in Fountain, right? Some of you guys might know MF Casper and Mildly Intoxicated, mid-sized corp that just left OG. homies got word that there was a Craigslist ad for some potential space in Fountain. That current renters were back on their rent, and if we wanted to come in and clean up a little bit, um, we might be able to make ourselves a cozy. They might be able to make themselves a cozy little home, and of course, Unfuck being a group of pirates and hooligans, and being friends with them, I decided to tag along for the content. I do think that the perceived lackadaisical attitudes of fear might have been a little overrated. These guys are definitely giving our pilots a fight. Meeting shenanigans with shenanigans, and everyone's having a good time. But yeah, I like to frame it as a Craigslist ad went up. Some of our homies decided to go take a peek and take a poke, and Unfuck decided to tag along for the content, because what the heck else is there other than that in this game? But nope, no. Also, the allusions to this being like really big block backed, or us corpse on the ground being puppets for some larger force. Happy to say that is totally untrue. We're trying to take it kind of. I mean, I would say corp versus corp, but fear is a alliance, and I don't think you could say the same of MI and Unfuck even together have those sorts of numbers. But yeah, just down there having some fun, looking to see what kind of ruckus we can cause. Hoping it goes on for a while,
You
but
know,
that's to be seen.
that seems to be the it's kind of a thing with Fountain, right? Other regions, when you look at them, you find people in a situation where, okay, so if it's Burr versus No, which has not happened yet, you're looking at, well, it's basically the North versus the South, right? So it's Fae versus like the Vale. And when Silent is at war, they have to go somewhere else because their region is owned by them, unless they're playing defense, which they don't play defense a whole lot. And this is what you get. But in Fountain, there are so many groups that are just like not particularly, they're not allies. All of Fountain is not one big alliance. All of Fountain is literally, it's like you have someone living maybe 3 jumps away from you, and they could hate your guts. It's what makes Fountain so
Oh,
interesting.
100%, right?
And
Right. No unified politic, no unified bloc that holds over. I will say that I'm super inspired by Red Sea in terms of being a long-term, well-established, what is it they call it, like super corp? Hitting well above their weight class, stacking ISK well above their weight class, but not necessarily being involved in alliance politic. And I know it's a little I don't want to say hypocritical, but like Unfucked never wanted to get back into alliance level politic, and then we turned around and created a little mini temporary pirate alliance. So yes, I'll call myself out before I get called out on that. But I love it in Fountain, seeing all of these kind of individual entities, button heads. It's a lot. It's a lot more interesting to me than the large scale block warfare and large scale block politics, I should say, that I played for the first 2 years of the game.
I think that well, I'll be honest with you. I get tired of the politics myself. Um, and the first opportunity that I had to escape, having to be a political figure after I left Pantheon, I kind of, I shot to make sure that I didn't end up in a situation where I had to do those politics because they get ugly. You know what I mean? There is a weird balance. And at the end of the day, it starts to seep into your real life. And I saw that happen to Sun Banana, and I saw that happen to Mama Saurus, and I've seen that happen to every single leader that has ever been, involved in alliance politics. That eventually you end up in a situation where if external forces don't force your hand, your own people will. It's it's really just the general idea that if external politics don't kill you, internal politics will. And with Pantheon, it was so much external stuff, and with GenFed, it was a lot of internal. and silent, how they do it is a miracle unto itself. I won't even venture into that avenue, but it is kind of nice to see that you have these organizations that are doing those things. And Dracus actually posted a screenshot of a message that I believe is related to these things that are happening and what you were saying, Salient.
Hmm.
And what this says, for those of you guys that are going to listen to this broadcast after it is over and not actually, you're not live with us, it says that as entrepreneurial crustaceans, or as the entrepreneurial crustaceans we are, Red Sea is always looking for ways to expand our business interests. Our newest business venture is expanding into the rental market. Holy cow. I'm gonna I'm gonna take a moment to laugh at that one, but okay.
See, Craigslist ad.
Yeah, so with our Crab for Less program, currently we are looking to lease Basilisk for a 6-month term. We are ready to open negotiations for weekly payments per soft system with price ranges from the low billions to the tens of billions, depending on the prestigious location you wish to occupy. Views, easy access to high-speed trade routes. We're here to bring you into the Crabless program today. Oh my gosh, this is
Oh
pure
yeah.
gold, man.
Oh yeah. He threw his heart into it. He threw his heart into it for sure.
Before you jump into the auspicious opportunity to join the program, we do notice there is a large unpaid balance that I am here to claim. Due to Fear pilots being 2 months behind or 2 months on POS rents, we are expecting Fear to start the evacuating process on Monday and to be finished with the process by Tuesday, November the 22nd, 2022. Red Sea expects Fear to pay back any back taxes that are owed, including concluding to 1.6 billion. you know, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
this is what I love about this statement is I'm reading it and I don't have to decipher it like I do when I'm looking at like legal papers, right? Because
Mm-mm,
I'm not a
mm-mm.
lawyer, I'm a music artist. So it's very nice that this is laid out very cleanly and it still sounds very business and it's great. To continue on, if our wishes have not been respected, we will be forced to take further action. Once again, this is due to Fear being 6 months behind on rent. Until this matter is finished, we will be halting any deal we currently have until our wishes have been met. So Fear, at first it was okay. Fear is behind 2 months on POS rent, according to this statement that I'm reading, and 6 months behind on some other kind of rent. Could you fill in the gaps here? Because I'm confused.
I can actually neither confirm nor deny anything about actual rent. Again,
Okay.
Unfuck is here for the shenanigans. We like MI has come in to do what it is MI is doing, and being homies that we are. Again, we saw the move going on. Homies that we flew with for a long time in OG are underway. So we just figured instead of trolling other parts of space like we have been doing for a couple of months, that we'd bring our talents and our search for fun into Fountain and join the guys. So I can neither confirm nor deny actual like rental agreements. As Unfuck CEO, I haven't had anything come across my desk. I'm certainly not personally looking to sign the corp up for SOV or anything of the like. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
we're just here to help with the cleanup. I'm not sure about the upper
I mean,
scale long term per se.
the better person maybe to ask about the Red Sea situation would be Nox, who's
Knox.
joined us in the
Mm-hmm.
studio.
Knox is in the
So,
studio. Yeah, so
Nox, would you like to elaborate?
and give Knox a moment there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
I think
sounding very
so.
good.
We,
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, so as we've all kind of discussed earlier, Fountain is its own little unique place of no one party controlling everything. So We kind of like it that way. We've decided that Red Sea wants to expand, looking at Burr's model into the renter business. And we're looking to lease New Sov in the Basilisk region. So we asked Fear to either pay back taxes or basically to start moving. And since we're crustaceans of honor, we don't believe in just taking people's stuff. We believe that our new tenants should be capable of doing it themselves, or they're undeserving of such. So all Red Sea has done in this situation is offered MI the opportunity to take the Basilisk Sov for themselves, and our contribution to this glorious crab combat is that should it escalates and the Fear Alliance, when an unlikely scenario the Fear Alliance asks for help against a single corp, then we would balance the scale. So if they brought another corp, we would bring a corp. If they brought an alliance, we'd bring an alliance. If they formed a coalition, we'd form a coalition. And now we have a great fight going on between the two guys, and it's very interesting to watch.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing, Nox, is your rental model is yeah. So we'll rent you Basilisk. Oh yeah, we haven't kicked the previous tenants out yet.
Yeah,
Have fun with that.
that's kind of weird though, because I mean, like, just
That tracks. Yeah.
it's fun.
I
It
have a
sounds
question.
fun, but you do know that the Burr rental model is basically, if our renters are under attack, we get into ships and we shoot the people attacking our people.
It seems like a lot more work
I-
than is necessary, to be honest.
Yeah, but it keeps our renters
You
happy
know,
and paying
and-
us.
I do have a question though. Did Fear actually enter into a rental contract, or were they declared renters without their knowledge and now or had no idea they were actually renters, or you actually informed them?
I think it's a bit of both. It's like I'm pretty sure they rent from TSC right now, so we're kind of in negotiations with their lease agreements because it's kind of subletting. So we're trying to take a bit more of the market share of the Fountain Solve market and seeing who else we can throw in there. So
I see.
It's been an
And now,
adventure.
Are you looking at other constellations as future rental properties for Red Sea?
we'll see how this endeavor goes first. We're ambitious and entrepreneurial crabs, but we don't like to overextend ourselves. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll work from there, I guess.
There you go. And I don't know if anybody else had the visual image, but I just got an image in my head of crabs with briefcases.
I actually I did the same thing.
So
I actually did the same thing, and wearing a business suit too. I was thinking it the whole
there
time.
you go.
Kind of like Sebastian from The Little Mermaid. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad I'm not alone in this. I'm glad I'm getting good company.
Exactly.
I think
Oh
that's
my
the
gosh,
next. I think that's the net Red Sea sticker that needs to be made. A crab in a business suit with a briefcase.
Yes,
I think it would be great,
business
man. It
crab.
would be hilarious.
Yes, I think we need this. Oh, see, there you go. Crab having a little break. There you
She
go.
says deal with it. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about it, and it's what I'm actually hearing here is that this is basically all out chaos, right? And and I mean, I think it's good because it's creating content and stuff for the game, but a really important thing that you're going to need when you get into this, if you decide that you want to, go into business and this is something you want to do, you actually do have to have a like a contract, like you have to draft a physical contract. I think the one that that Burr has our renters sign with their signature, literally, it's a signature. Alondra, you're a renter. Isn't there a form that you guys sign with your signature? It's pretty fucking crazy.
I can't speak about this. I'm told if I
Well, that
speak about
sounds-
this,
Okay.
I may or may not disappear. So we
Okay.
don't talk about the contract.
Okay, so anyways, so there.
Very official.
To my understanding, we look at that. Look at Damon Zell just posted that a crab with a.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you
I
go.
didn't even know
yeah.
that existed somewhere, but now it does. I gotta look at that for a
That's a
moment.
hermit crab right there. That's a hard-working hermit crab. Notice, you have to see the shell. You can tell. You have to know your crab. It's important to know your crab.
Damn, dude.
Stations for life.
My goodness. So anyways, I don't know about it because of course I'm part of the alliance and it's not my department to worry about the the actual legal parts of what we do in the business but I asked Mel about it once, and he literally told me that, yeah, so the contract that we give to our renters is it's very lawyery because it was drawn up by Kanos Karinsky. So
Oh, so real official. So
it's
real official.
it's a real contract that we give to our renters that covers every single thing that they are signing up for and what they can expect from us, what we will do, what we won't do, and how we protect our people, what we can do in their space, what they can do in our space, what we can't do in their space, what they can't do in our space, and so on and so forth. And so it is an official document. Like, it is a document that is drawn up by a lawyer for the sole purpose of making sure that it is quote unquote a legally binding contract. It's
Wow.
insane.
Wow.
It's insane.
I mean, I think if I've seen any papers on this, they've like been slapped with like crusty crustacean claw marks, but the verbiage definitely wasn't that fine. I think
Yeah.
Dracus's
I thought Dracus.
announcement about encapsulates
Yeah.
the level of officialness.
I kind of
is
I
going
kind of
on
like it
right
though,
now.
but I mean I can actually understand Dracus's message without an
Hmm.
attorney present, and that's what I like about
Right.
it. So
Needing to print and submit and get a translator. Yeah.
I
exactly.
believe our legal representation, Doug Esquire, was unable to attend the negotiations. So, in the case where we actually get to the point where there is an actual agreement, our retained space lawyer more than likely will draft up a document.
Is your space lawyer still Heron Explorer, or is he just your diplomat?
He's just the Diplo.
Okay.
That's kind of why he was a great sort of pilot program for Diplo, which worked really well with Boot. So that's why we employed Trackus with Fear, because I believe they have a much longer history and better understanding of each other than we do. So, which I think it worked out all right.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is a melting pot, you know what I mean? And it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how this whole thing kind of ends up because reasonably, if you can design an actual system, it means that Fountain will technically, officially, finally have a landlord, and that's you.
Well, we have a
I think
lord of Fountain technically, so I mean, I'm not sure where in the hierarchy he sits, if he's above all of us, and we're all just kind of here in his good graces. But yeah, that's be interesting.
I think any proper lord of any region should sit at the top, right?
I think
That
so. I mean, he's
right?
got Sov. He's got key
There we go.
Sov, and everyone just accepts it. So I mean, I think we all acknowledge as a whole, even though we're all fighting each other, that he's basically on top.
So I'm being asked by Rosalind to read the second half of Dracus's declaration here. And so what it says is, if we are unable to collect back taxes and come to a new lease agreement for Basilisk, we will begin looking for new tenants. Crab above all else are crustaceans of honor. That's a typo. You should fix that. We only choose tenants we believe are deserving of such an opportunity, and as such, in the traditional way of the crab, the new tenants will be required to claim Basilisk by their own claws in an honorable duel with the Fear Alliance. However, should outside parties decide to disrespect this honorable duel to be Red Sea's new tenants of Basilisk, escalation will be met with escalation if an additional corp assists the Fear Alliance. An additional corp shall assist the new tenants. Should an additional alliance assist the Fear Alliance, an additional alliance will assist the new tenants. In the grave situation that a most dishonorable coalition is formed to assist the Fear Alliance, then a coalition will be formed to assist the new tenants. In conclusion, we look forward to your new rental agreement or honorable crab combat between yourselves and the possible new tenants should you decide to continue squatting in Ret K's rental space. This message has been approved by the crabs. So there is a little crab signature on there for those of you guys that don't see it in the sound of us. And um, I'm I know what this is, but I'm not gonna say it on the air. Instead, I'm gonna let this keep on. I'm gonna let this keep on rolling because it's good content for the game.
I
So
mean, check back in a couple of weeks. We'll see where things stand. Ships are blowing up. Salt is being spilled in local. My boys are having a good time, so that's first and foremost on my priority list. They're having some fun,
I
thinking
have a
about the game
question.
in new ways. Yeah,
So if Crime, being a single corporation who has no interest in the South whatsoever, just like goes over there, and we decide we just want to shoot fear instead, like we don't want the land, but are we allowed to just go shoot them for the sake of shooting them? Because I mean, clearly they got to fight anyways. Got to fight somebody.
I mean, I don't. I not being one of the lawyer types in this situation. I'm not sure if that counts as escalation. I mean, I've been wondering about that in general. We are talking a single corp, and even with Unfuck and some of our friends, we're tiny. We're tiny. So even having multiple corps on the field, I don't think quite hit the numbers that maybe a few of the fear corps that I've seen do. So we're talking alliance here. So I don't know. I don't know. Does having an unaffiliated corp come over tip the scales? So that would be kind of a question for a Nox and a Dracus and for their team. We haven't called on anybody
Of
as of yet.
course.
Maybe that's part of the stipulation is like
Yeah.
we can't be raising the banners and like forming a huge force ourselves. I'm not sure how that works.
So
I'd suspect some third party before this is over, but
Well, I
I'm not
think
sure where that would land on the legal
I
territory.
mean, Silent did
I
third
think the
party our war against Void. I mean, they shot everybody. In fact, they
Right?
shot us
Right?
more than they shot Void. Just so you know.
that's funny. I think the thing with this, the balance is like, in all fun fairness, like we're being crazy crabs causing a ruckus, but we are trying to make this some semblance of fair. And I do know that several outside organizations who do have defense packs have agreed to stay out of it. So uh, I don't know how. It would basically be up to them because as much as I want to say this is fair, I think it's something that like mutual
Right.
parties
Right.
outside have to agree on because I can't. I don't want to be hypocritical and then be like,
No, yeah.
this is a fair fight, and then more people show up, and then it's like, you guys can't come in either now. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
it's
No, 100%. No,
yeah,
100%.
Yes, well, I mean,
so
it's basically one corporation and a few allies, and I mean, as far as your numbers are concerned, clearly you guys are outnumbered. But I mean, are you holding your own?
So far, I mean, we're what
Okay,
week and a half, 2 weeks into this.
okay.
No one's been exterminated. No one's been fully pushed out. I think on either side. Our kill boards are full of both kills and losses. Your guys are getting good at handling the cloaky shenanigans my guys pull, I know for sure. And my runs a different sort of fleet. And have some really effective FCs in putting some work in. But I know their ships get popped too. But so for right now, it's looking pretty solid. I will say, I think some of my dudes were telling me the other night, the rumors of Fear's AFK-ness, as it were, or what we I think maybe understood to be going on, we're definitely realizing they put up a fantastic presence across time zones. There is always a cluster of dudes running across systems, chasing us down, trying to bubble us in, getting warping. It's some good stuff going on. It's some good stuff.
I think that's the important part, right? It's about the content because if we're being honest with ourselves, the devs are giving us content and it's it is it depending on how you look at it, because there have been pretty good events, and you can earn some nice medals for these different events. I mean, the Interstellar Bazaar was a thing, and it in fact, I believe it is coming to an end very soon. But there is a little bit of content, I guess, outside of the gambling. If you're a gambling person, you really want that core for your capital ship, then there you go. There's a way to spend the real life money, but there is a little something where you can earn badges and stuff. But the majority of the content that is created in Eve, whether it is created for industrialists or created for more combat oriented people, it's all it's all pretty much content that is it's created by the people. Eve has always been a
Hmm.
game that has been created, like, it's basically created by the people. Everything from the economic structure is created by the people. The ships are all created by the people. The buildings, the structures, aside from what you see in high sec and low sec, are created by people. And at least in Eve Online, that's what it is. And in high
Hmm.
sec, even some of the structures are created by people. So it really is a game that's built by the people. And the nice thing about what's happening in Fountain, regardless of what I might think about it from a political standpoint, which I'm not going to give my opinions on the political standpoint, but I see what this is, but I think it's great because what it really does is it creates content. And that's the important
Yeah.
thing, because when people run out of content, they get bored, they want to leave the game. It's not fun anymore. You know what I mean? You don't have any content. If you're an FC, you don't have a fleet to lead, then you don't want to log in. If you are a person who likes to go on a weekly roam and that weekly roam is not happening, you don't really want to log in because you don't really enjoy being out there grinding.
Hmm.
That's not your thing. Meanwhile, for those that like to grind, it seems like a chore for them to join a roam sometimes. It seems like a chore for them to stop mining those rocks because for some reason they love being out there mining rocks. I don't. I really
Hmm.
don't.
Hmm.
So so in this case, the game does need war to continue to be fought, and I'm actually super sad that there hasn't been. I believe that there is. It's not official yet, but I believe that Michael J.D. and some of the other guys, they have done a pretty good job of putting together a basically a history of New Edens, where they basically called in people from all over the galaxy to give their opinions and to talk a little bit about it, which is something you can find if you want to know more about Eve's history in the early days and stuff, the days of Constantine and some of the other alliance leaders, the wars that were fought, the propaganda that was spilt back in 2001. You can actually find those. In fact, there are audiobooks on the history of Eve if you want to check those out. Well, we don't
All
really have that in
Empires of
Eve
Eve
Echoes.
still good.
It,
Yeah.
it is very good. It's very good. For those of you guys that haven't like listened to that book in audio format or read it, the history of Eve online, you really should. It's fantastic. And when you see how much of what is going on then, like just basically replaying the Great Wars between Pantheon and GenFed and and Catch 22 versus the Content Coalition, and then No joined in for a while,
Hmm.
and the climatic battle that happened when when certain systems were taken, and what basically was the end of the war. Seeing the end of those eras, it was like literally being a part of a story. You know what I mean? And so
Hmm.
wars have to be a part of that. And I really do hope that just because what is happening in Fountain is kind of, it's something that is really concentrated. It's not something that just spills out everywhere, right?
Hmm.
When the
Hmm.
battles happened between SHH and GenFed, that kind of spilled out everywhere. There was collateral damage all over the place.
All over
But
the place. Yeah.
but this thing, anytime a war or a battle or something like that happens in a place like Fountain, it doesn't tend to have as much collateral damage. And I think that that's kind of how we look at these wars between different entities, right? How much collateral damage is it? Because when GenFed and Silent are at war, apparently there is mass collateral damage where people are getting pulled into it, and allies are being rallied, and people are showing up, and it's all kinds of stuff, and everyone has their side of the story, and it's kind of fun. It makes the storyline move along and stuff. Um, but I really hope that, and I can give you guys a link to the historical section of that server if you're not there yet. It is the history, if I'm not mistaken, of New Eden or Eve Echoes or whatever. And be sure to drop in and make sure that like these things that are happening in Fountain don't get lost. I think that Alondria has been over there and she has actually helped with some of the information gathering for
Oh, right
the
on.
for that, because we're just trying to preserve the history of the game. So yeah, do your part, preserve Fountain's history, because a lot of us, like today, I can't say anything about it because I don't really know what's happening over there in Fountain. So I appreciate of course, Salient, yourself, and of course Knox, coming in and just letting us know exactly what is happening in Fountain right now, because Fountain is a melting pot, and I'm kind of
Yeah.
happy that the contract with Myth, even though I was sick during most of the contract we had against Myth, I'm kind of glad that it's over because Myth space is just so annoying to fly through. But they did have a really
Oh
good laser
my
doctrine,
God.
so I give them a thumbs up for that.
Those gate camps,
Yeah.
those boys
And,
are those cats hold on the way into Fountain, like on the way into what is it, YZ and Serpentis Prime. Holy heck! It's been a long while since I've seen that many heavies stacked on a gate, and I didn't think it was for little old us. And then I heard that Burr had a contract out there, and I was like, okay, that makes a bit more sense. But
Yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't
Yeah,
for you. It wasn't for you.
the myth
Yeah.
guys
And,
did a really good job of defending the space when you went out there.
Yeah, I gotta say they actually won some of those fights against us, which was the part that was more I guess more impressive. I don't want to say it's impressive because Myth is a they are a single alliance, and they were very selective about the fights they took. And when they took those fights, they did a damn good job. And we weren't expecting a lot of what we were getting from them. We just weren't. But we got some pretty nice stuff going on there. In fact, I'm gonna post this.
yeah, Fountain history. One of the most important pieces of Fountain history that we have to preserve is the Fountain I Love You song. It was produced.
That's
That
very true.
song is absolute.
That
Yeah,
It,
the Honk album
that
I think
song.
is in Mario's War channel. Um, yeah, Honk had a few good songs detailing the escapades of the Fountain Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that isn't something that comes out of the game. That comes out of the community, and that's the stuff that we really, really want
And
to
you know
preserve.
the sad
You
part
know.
is I was never sent an MP3 of that. That's why we never had that on the show. Like they always send me a YouTube link, but of course we use DJ equipment in the studio, so we can't exactly like rip off of YouTube, and we typically don't because the sound quality isn't that good. So I never have gotten a copy of the MP3 for Fountain I Love You, but You're Bringing Me Down, which is a shame because it was a
Buddy,
piece of art that
it,
is exclusively for this game.
it is. Maybe somebody out there in the audience, somebody can hook us up with that. If you have access to that or involved in that, maybe you can hook us up so we can get that on the air.
Yes, yes, but hot dog, how have you been? And welcome to the show. Since I didn't notice you had slipped in here, what's going on?
Oh, just still eating my salad. Um, no, I was gonna say, I think the whole purpose of Fountain and the Basilisk chaos is that Fountain should remain as chaotic as it was detailed in Fountain I Love You. That there's always something going on in Fountain. It's always burning, and there tends to be basically no reason why. It's just, you can always be sure when you're looking at the map and saying that there's no wars, that there's still some sort of dumb, pointless drama going on in Fountain just for the sake of content. Because, a lot of people kind of hate each other in the region, but they can never really claim that it's boring there. If you're in way down south, if you're up in SHH, you can definitely, get bored because it's dealing with the same sort of thing over and over again, or just solely a few weird roams going around, or maybe you're in, like void space where you can encounter kind of a blue donut. But here, there's always something going on that's just kind of making you think, and it makes people get paranoid, or they'll have to plan things differently, or constantly trying to break up camps, or dealing with somebody coming at them in unique ways that makes Fountain to the point of chaos where it's always burning. And um, I think I'm also pretty biased against Fear, because they killed Blap, and I should still be a little salty over it. But this is like a good wake up for them, that Fountain is indeed always burning, which we had the fun last time when it was Red Sea ratting all of their anomalies, and this is just more of it burning. And we've done the same thing in Boop Space, like the 8-day log out camp to kill their work. And it's always kind of been like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hot Dog, also, to speak a little bit more about the history of Eve Echoes, I think you took over that project with Michael J.D. Stepping down. I think he retired from Eve Echoes, and now he's playing Eve Online, of course, part of the Hull Warning Corporation that is doing some really cool things and wreaking a lot of havoc in the faction war games right now.
Yeah, he just pinged me when I was asleep, and he's like, "Congratulations, you're running the server." And so I think that was his final middle finger to me. But I've been trying to I've gotten more former leaders and stuff in there, and been trying to ping them to make write-ups, and basically there's a lot of channels, there's a lot of alliances, there's been a few independent corps, been a lot of different wars, and the goal is to try and create a channel for every single one so that it can be written up. But when the people who really know what happened aren't in the server, or they don't want to participate, or they're just too lazy to write it, then it gets basically written for them. So when I first got in, it was somebody commented on it and said it was just like an SHH circle jerk. And I'm like, because those are the only people who were like writing in it constantly. So it was like their interpretation of what happened in all different events. But the people who can write it from a sort of unbiased stance, or from knowing things that others don't, just weren't writing it, so it just ends up getting written for them, or things like that. Lion Sin, who ran Rebel Alliance, he joined it. I got him to join it, and he's like, "I'm leaving because all of this is wrong." I was like, "Well, that's because nobody else is gonna." If you're not going to come in and write it, someone else is going to, and you're not going to like
Yeah, you need
the way it's
corroboration.
written.
You
Yeah.
definitely need corroboration, and that was the thing. Like, I think most of what participation I had in that server was, of course, during the Pantheon era, because I did know those things, and of course, Jinfed's perspective during the final war, the SHH war. So those were things that were easier for me to be able to say, actually, this is what happened. This system, this is what happened from this perspective, and these were the events. These were our losses back then, and I think that one nice thing is that we do have really good kill bots. So it makes it a little easier to corroborate those stories, but you still need people to step in and go, well, here's what happened. And yeah, I mean, with Lion, I don't say a whole lot about Lion, because I mean, this is a guy who tried to put together some phony information, and try to play Burr against No. And as it turns out, not only I'm a member of Burr, but I have a lot of respect for the No guys. So I'm not exactly interested in talking to Lions right now. But if he
Don't worry. Like Rebel, here's what I always say: Rebel Alliance is not a real alliance. It was never a real alliance. Uh, I've scammed them out of a shitload of ISK. Cairo's scammed them out of a shitload of ISK. I can't even count the amount of people that have just scammed the shit out of him, because he tried to run it by just buying everybody's loyalty, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, this is a free for all. So it's just everybody could just take whatever they wanted. And he just figured, if 30 people scam me, maybe 5 of them will stay with me. One did. literally just one stayed with. Because that's the nature of Eve. And so he obviously didn't like the way that everyone was writing it, especially because like Trimark wrote a bunch of his part and he got pissed. But like if you know the drama of the history of Rebel Alliance, how it started and stuff, then you would know why he would leave the server the moment he sees that Trimark was the one writing the story. Um, there's sort of
It's,
those fun
you
little
know,
drama things.
I mean, yeah, but you find that, right? Occasionally you will find the people that do that. And but I mean, I was pretty much when I got there, and I read through some of it, and I tried, I corrected some of it. It was like met with a check mark. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, no, this is exactly what happened. Like, no, guys, I was there, and it's kind of interesting being, being like a beta player, right? Where you can the game is like a year. I'm sorry, 2 years and some months old now, and I can say. I was there when the battles of K4 were being fought from morning until night. I was
Yeah.
there when the battles between the Content Coalition and Pantheon invaded Delve. I was there when the Chinese members of ACR were camping out of the center part of Delve, and we had to push them out every morning. I was there. You know what I mean? So it's really great to have that. And um those of us that are a part of like null culture and everything, it's like that's sacred to us. And I think the only thing that makes me sad is that like people that are high sec care bears and stuff, they will never really know what the full story of Eve. They will never really know exactly all what happened, and they will never have those moments where they get to say, "I was there when," you know. But
Yeah, and that's the goal of the server is to just be a place where you can reminisce or like, you know, everybody at this point has gone through at least two different alliances, and so you want to read about something, or if someone is in your corp who's like, oh, what is this and that? And it's like, oh, these people came from so and so alliance, and you want to look into it, and you can find it. Or if you're just bored and you want to look at like the history and think about like what happened, like for us because we were in Pantheon for so long.
of course,
Sometimes I want to go and read about like dealing with who were the guys who were fighting at first in Pantheon?
Pantheon. When in the early days of
The
Pantheon, we were fighting. It was basically Dell
Pipsy.
versus Fountain, and we were
No,
fighting.
Pipsy.
Oh,
Like how great would it be? You can go in and you can read about like Pantheon's first doctrine of armor plate maulers and stuff like that.
yeah, of
Like
course.
like there's things that people don't think about, and then if they read it in the history server, then it'll remind them why they're playing the game, because none of this stuff is serious and it's just to have fun. And you could read back and be like, it's funny the way that we used to take, how serious we took the game or what we used to do for fun.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
eventually, the goal is all of these channels in the server can be basically condensed down to like a long story, and we can add them to wikis to have like a history wiki. So that's the end goal.
But you see, you can read about those things that happened before even I was in Pantheon. Jeez,
Yeah,
man.
and yeah, so you can see why people think they went the way they do. Or like there was drama during the Pip-C war where Terran Fed, the propaganda internally was that Terran Fed was allied with Pip-C. And I still don't know if that's true. I would need someone who is from Terran Fed leadership to come in and write a accurate telling of like what was the relationship with Pip-C, because we remember we were fighting the people who they were that was the best example of like an alliance that promoted botting. Uh, and so Terran Fed wasn't helping us fight them, obviously. I mean, why would they? But they, we were told that they were basically allied, and every time we would have a fleet, it was watch out in case Terran Fed wants to come defend them.
You
And
see,
it's like that was one of those types of propaganda that some banana would do.
it really is
And
interesting because even
yeah,
prior to us joining like Happy Bees and being a part of Pantheon, I still remember that my good friend Lux Celesti would got their first I think full ship of like 100 kill mails from killing bots. Like it was just out there killing bots during that time period. So even though we weren't in Pantheon, we were still, we were part of the bot war.
Yeah, and I'm sure even Rosalind could describe how it was because I got there right when the Pipsy War was really ending. But like a lot of the Fear guys would tell stories of, well, they were in hell back then, but they would tell stories of how the bots would all warp to a certain planet. And they figured out what planet, and they'd go into system warp to the planet and just kill, like 30 mining ships at once. And that was just how it was back then.
Yeah.
And
Man.
it's good to reminisce on it and think about how that was.
I agree. So, I can say that I appreciate you running that server in Michael's place. And by the way, make sure to drop a link in the Sound of Us so people who are interested in checking out some of the history that's been happening in our game, just share the link. And even
Yeah.
if people aren't contributing, they can at least read up on some of the cool stuff that happened. And I'm going to free you so that you can go out and you can get some action and you can find someone to blow up. Because unfortunately for me, I got to do homework. Plus, I have to get the tapes from this week uploaded or from last week uploaded where we had the Battle Royal. I actually have to finish cleaning that tape because unfortunately I got sick last week. So, it was rip. I wasn't not doing it because I was lazy. I was not doing it because I was still sick. Also, thanks to you guys who tuned in for my show, the Data Break Radio Show on Thursday. I do hold that show every Thursday at 1700 UTC, and that's pretty much all about electronic dance music. So if you're into that kind of thing, please tune in and check the show out. It's a lot of fun content, and I don't talk half as much, I promise you. But I believe that's it for this week's episode. Love, hugs, and kisses. And of course, I think that next week I'm going to formally post it so that we can have that episode, New Eden FM in US primetime, which has been asked for by the US audience. We're going to try to get some of those guys to come in for an interview. So, yeah.
Sweet. And I am, of course, contractually obligated as a secret CEO of Boop to say Boop in local. So please, everybody, Boop in local.
Dun dun dun.
Thanks for taking the time to drag me down. It was fun.
I would drag you guys down here anytime you have something cool to talk about. So don't be a stranger. And again, to Fear, you guys want to come in, tell your side of the story, please. You're completely welcome. Tell me I'm wrong on some stuff. I actually really enjoy being told that I'm wrong. Depending on what it is, right? Anyway, I think in the mix right now, this is the Red Baron by Sabaton. So you get two Sabaton songs today. I'm guessing Latara has something to do with that one. Check it out. We'll see you next week.
Machiavelli. Bitches come and go, bro. But you know I stay.